I actually want to start with this Herb Jones team option decline. So the Pelicans declined Herb Jones team option, which as in and of itself, it feels weird, right? We have this happen in the NBA sometimes where a team is like, let's play this guy now as opposed to waiting a year. But usually there is other things at play that kind of make that possible or make that a viable option for both team and players. Very rare you get a situation where for the team it makes sense to decline smaller money to lock up bigger money long term. Usually, in most situations like this, you ride out the team option for another year because Herb Jones is going to be a restricted free agent when this contract is up, whether it's now or whether it's next year. But I think a big part of this is the CBA, and probably one of the first times we're seeing how this new CBA is going to affect people kind of managing money. I think it's just going to be easier for the Pelicans to try to lock up Herb Jones for this 4 year, $53.3 million contract right now than to do whatever he's going to earn next summer as a restricted free agent, what they might have to match and all of that good stuff in a more strict just CBA landscape between luxury tax penalties, first apron, second apron. I can't talk today. First apron, second apron. So I think it's a sign of where we're going, right? Teams. I think we're going to see a lot of this summer. A lot of teams prepping for how strict the financial rules are going to be on teams starting next off season. I think you're going to see a lot of teams making moves to prep for that, and I think this is one of these things. I am curious if there is like a handshake agreement that Herb's going to be willing to take the 453.3 because I have to believe there may be a team with cap space because Herb is he's not a super young player, but he's a youngish, younger player, and I think specifically has a skill set that can fit in any situation, whether it's a team trying to contend or even a team like the Houston Rockets who's just trying to establish a better culture. I think he's a guy that makes sense in that place. So I'm not quite sure if New Orleans knows like they're not going to get a Houston or a San Antonio to come in and throw a bag at this guy. Maybe they have that confidence. Maybe the Pelicans and Jones representation have had that conversation. They kind of know the 453.3 is going to be enough. He's going to take that to stay around. But it'll be interesting to see the follow up to that move. And I thought it was an interesting one just to talk about because I think it's indicative of how this new CBA we've known is going to be punitive for a long time, but we got like the official CBA drop yesterday. Fly by Kite Russo did a really good breakdown of the Athletic of kind of what to expect from there, and it's going to be more difficult, man. It's going to be more difficult to build teams. There's some ways that it'll be easier to maintain what you have, but building up talent and maybe bringing in talent, I should say, is going to be more difficult, which maybe indicates that the Pelicans thought it made a lot of sense to lock up Jones to long term money now versus in the future. We'll see if it comes to fruition. I have a feeling you don't decline a guy like that's option unless you know you're going to be able to bring him back. But we'll see what the next few days hold. So that was the first thing I wanted to get into again, just because I think it's good to help us understand that we have a new CBA. Things are going to be really punitive going forward, and teams are going to be just going to have to operate differently than they usually do as far as team building and building it up.